In just a few moments, see if you can settle into your seat. Take a few deep breaths and close your eyes. We have all been prone to complaining. Sometimes it feels like something we do without even noticing it. It's like we're on autopilot. Have nothing interesting to say? Complain about the weather. Do you feel the need to alert everyone that your back is achy today? Complaining can also be something we seem to get a sense of pleasure out of. But why would that be? It's just wallowing in the suffering, isn't it? Let's see. I'd like you to bring to mind a situation that you have recently complained about. You might have complained out loud to someone, or you might have suffered in silence, as we say, and only complained in your head, making yourself listen over and over to how unacceptable things are and how they should have been. Whatever the situation was, notice the content of your complaint. The root of all of our complaining is that we are in a situation that is not the way we would prefer for it to be. Something could have been better and should have been better, and if only this other thing had happened, it would have been better. What good does that complaining actually do? When you complain, you're just telling yourself and others that things are not the way they should be, and you are insinuating that you know the way that the world should be run. If only you were president or dictator, the world would be so much better, right? But what are we basing this off of? Could anything ever be different than it is? How could you know? The only way that we can ever have a feeling of dissatisfaction with life is if we take note of what is right in front of us, and then enlist the help of the imagination to run a simulation of all the ways that this scenario could be improved upon. And then we compare our current situation with all of those hypothetical possibilities, only to find the current one to be less desirable than the ones that we have imagined. But the imaginary scenarios are only that, imaginary. They could not be the case for the simple reason that they are not the case right now. They may or may not happen at some other time, but that's neither under anyone's control nor relevant to your enjoyment of this particular moment. Does this fact, this lack of control, give you even more discomfort? It can be that the reason we complain is not only because things are not going the way that we would prefer, but that we recognize our own powerlessness to change them. The problem is that this recognition is only halfway there. There is truth in the insight that we cannot change what is, but there is still identification nested within that insight. There is still the idea that there is someone who is suffering the consequences of not being able to control the world, and that I am being pushed around by forces outside of my control. Come back to the original situation that you were complaining about. What did you want to happen that did not happen? Can you remember that situation as vividly as possible and then feel into the body? Is there a feeling of discomfort there? How bad is it? Can you locate the individual sensation components that make up this discomfort and just feel them? Do you see how in the past you have felt the need to distract yourself from them? Did you not have the bandwidth to just be with them as they were? If you felt and recognized the feeling in the body at all, did you feel like it was just one thing too many? It's also possible that the sensations went completely under the radar and that you are acting out of a subconscious discomfort. Either way, can you see how complaining about the external factor seemed like a reasonable coping mechanism to keep from needing to feel these sensations? Can you recognize that the urge to change the situation was not even specific to the unsatisfactoriness of this one sensation, but that it could have been substituted with a million other ones, and your reaction to it would have been exactly the same? There's an underlying feeling of irritation or anger at what your experience is, and this generalized passive aggression towards all of it leads you to a negativity towards everything. You don't know the correct direction in which to vent that frustration because there isn't one. When you are complaining, do you see that you're not even trying to change the situation? What good does complaining do? Does it create a plan of action? You don't need to complain to do that. Does it soothe the nerves of yourself and others in the situation? Definitely not. Do the words actually reach out and manipulate the events around you? Of course not. Words can't do that. Complaining doesn't actually make things different. It just gives you a sense that you can control something, i.e., the words coming out of your mouth. Until we investigate that more deeply and find that you aren't even choosing them. Continue sitting with these sensations now and ask yourself, can you be with the uncomfortable feelings? Good. Bring to mind a few more instances when you found yourself complaining. And again, notice that there is always the undercurrent of dissatisfaction with the present the way it is. And notice if there is an undercurrent of anger or irritation bubbling away because of it. Because things were not the way you wanted them to be, there's a feeling of helplessness and a loss of control. Do you see this recurring thread? And do you see how this insecurity would lead to those feelings of irritation? Like everything we experience from our bubble of reality, what you were complaining about when you were being passive aggressive towards others is a reflection of the way in which you are being passive aggressive towards yourself. How are you manipulating your own behavior because you are not getting what you feel you need? Are you not listening to and reacting to your own needs spontaneously? So you need to coerce others into providing for you those things that you haven't been able or willing to provide for yourself? Throughout your life, start to become aware of all the things you are complaining about and what you are trying to get from others. Is it sympathy? Then why can't you feel sympathetic for yourself? Turn it around to see how you are not meeting your own needs and why you feel like you need someone else to step in and meet them for you. So when you are in a situation that is not going the way you would like for it to go, you can ask yourself these questions. In what way do I feel powerless right now? What am I looking to get from others by complaining about this? Can I provide that thing for myself without needing to manipulate others for it? What do I want to happen that is not currently happening? How do I feel like I know what should be happening? Do I feel like I have the ability to control this or any situation? And if so, what is creating the illusion of choice right now? And then scan your thoughts and bodily sensations for anything that can be contributing to the feeling of being one who could choose or act differently. Then, who is it who is suffering from the inability to change my reality? Keep a vigilant eye out for identification in the ideas of being the victim of circumstance and the one who could make things otherwise. So when you hear complaints coming out of your mouth or arising in your thoughts, take that as a signal to turn your attention inwards. There are multiple things that we can observe in this moment. First, check in with the body to see if something feels uncomfortable. Is it leading to irritation or anger? Then look into what you're trying to gain by complaining to others and see if you can fulfill those needs for yourself. And when those urges to complain pop up, see if you can find the beliefs or assumptions that are lurking behind those thoughts. See if you are making unfair comparisons to hypothetical storylines about all of the ways that this moment could be improved upon. And then come back to simply what is, and see if you can find the contentment and the stillness underneath that dissatisfaction. Can you find the equanimity in the appearances around you simply as they are? This is possible when you no longer feel the need for other people or situations to contort themselves to make you feel comfortable. You can provide for yourself everything you need in any moment, and that is where freedom comes from. Sit now for a moment and reflect on this inquiry, and feel free to listen to it over and over again as needed to remind yourself what to look out for. And then, when you're ready, open your eyes and go about your life, bringing these new insights into your interactions with others and with yourself.